Here's your final review video for Vocabulary 1 through 3 Mastery Exam. We are looking at filling the blanks first. So these are sentence completion exercises. I'll read the sentence with the blank, and you think about the word that would fill this blank correctly. Here we go. These are items 81 through 90. The published account of the incident was so clearly biased and improbable that none of us gave it the slightest blank. Okay, so the report was so biased and improbable that we did not give it our belief. So the word there is credence. The actor may have a reputation for bringing intensity and excitement to every role he plays, but we found his performance in the drama to be blank in the extreme. So it's kind of a sentence of contrast here. While the actor has a reputation for bringing excitement, we found his performance to be the opposite of that, which would be banal, something that is trite, hackneyed, and overused, worn out. We can't drink the water from the streams that flow out of the salt marsh because it is too blank. Keyword there in context is salt marsh. So water that is too salty for human consumption is brackish. Scouts returning from a blank mission reported that the enemy lay encamped in a nearby plain. So a military survey is a reconnaissance. I would describe a few of the plans for the town's park as truly blank proposals, but most of them were unworthy of consideration. So we need the opposite of unworthy of consideration. So the word would be substantive, as truly substantive proposals. It means they had substance, weight, or merit. We kept a watchful, if somewhat amused, eye on the children, blanking like seal pups in the surf that sunny afternoon. I need a word there that means to romp, to play, and that word is cavorting. The children were cavorting like seal pups in the surf that sunny afternoon. The beautiful and intricate brooches the people wore function as blank to ward off everything from illness to bad luck. So the brooches, okay, so like a little medallion or something, thought to have some sort of power or magic to them. They act as talismans. And it's plural, just add an S to it. Don't make it M-E-N. So talismans. A word is often said to be blank if it normally has a negative tone or connotation. So an adjective that means having a negative connotation is pejorative. Someone who is determined to lose weight must make up his or her mind firmly to blank all kinds of fattening foods. So if you want to avoid those fattening foods, you must eschew. The police strongly suspected that the conflagration had been touched off by a blank device. Conflagration means a huge fire. So a conflagration, a fire, is set off by an incendiary device. So literally, an incendiary device is like a bomb, something that can cause a fire. Figuratively, to make an incendiary comment is to make some sort of provocative comment. It's fiery and it's going to stir people up. All right, the very last section will be analogies. So you know how analogies work. You're given a word pair. This word is related to this word, and you've got to figure out what the relationship is. And then from your answer choices, you have to determine in the answer choices which one has the same kind of relationship as the word pair. So let's work through these fairly carefully. These will be 91 through 100. Gossip is to taciturn. Now, in this case, gossip is referring to the person who engages in gossip. So like a gossip. A gossip is someone who spreads bad news or rumors and gets some sort of pleasure out of it. They're very talkative, right? So gossip is to taciturn. Taciturn means that you don't talk a lot. So the relationship between a gossip and taciturn is that they're opposites. So a gossip is not taciturn. So from your choices, you want to find where the first word is not characterized by the second word. So would that be eyesore is to myopic? No, there's no relationship there. Widow is to distraught. Well, actually, a widow would likely be distraught. Curmudgeon is to intransigent, or go-getter is to feckless. Remember that the original word is gossip is to taciturn. So a gossip is not characterized as being taciturn. in the same way as a go-getter is not characterized as being feckless. A go-getter is someone who gets things done. Feckless means ineffective. So the correct answer would be go-getter is to feckless. All right, next. Knight's gambit is to chess. So the vocabulary word there is gambit. So a gambit is an opening move in chess. So in this analogy, a knight's gambit is a ploy or strategy that's used in the game of chess. Is that the same way as hit and run is to basketball, serve and volley is to croquet, quarterback sneak is to football, or round is to boxing? Okay, so the one that's correctly paired, the correct strategy paired with the correct sport would be quarterback sneak is to football. All right, verdant is to greenness. Verdant, by definition, has greenness. Is that the same way as pallid is to blackness? Murky is to whiteness? Ruddy is to redness? Or avid is to blueness? Okay, so in those choices, the only one where the color is correctly paired with the word is ruddy is to redness. Remember, ruddy can mean optimistic, but it also means red-cheeked or red-faced. So ruddy is to redness. Laggard, Laggard, is to celerity. Okay, so laggard is a person who is sluggish or slow. Celerity means swiftness. So a laggard is not characterized by celerity. Is that the same way as a klutz is not characterized by clumsiness? A tightwad is not characterized by largesse? A hero is not characterized by encomium? Or a spoil sport is not characterized by reconnaissance? The one that makes sense in the context of laggard is to celerity is tightwad is to largesse. A tightwad is a stingy person. They're not going to be characterized by their overwhelming generosity, largesse. So the correct answer is tightwad is to largesse. Utopian is to flawed. All right. So a utopian view of the world is that everything is perfect. Well, that's impossible, cannot be achieved. So utopian is a flawed philosophy. Is it the same way as banal is to vapid, viscous is to gooey, invidious is to beloved, or acquisitive is to greedy? Here, utopian is to flawed, and flawed in that it's not achievable, it's something that's desired, but you can't get it, is the same way as invidious is to beloved, because an invidious comment is not one that's going to be beloved. So invidious is to beloved. All right, letter is to alphabet. Okay, so a letter makes up the alphabet. Is it the same way as conductor is to orchestra, attic is to basement, tennis is to court, or note is to scale? All right, so none of those are vocabulary words. You probably noted that. So it's just trying to get you to understand how analogies work. So letter is to alphabet in the same way as note is to scale. All right, substantive is to trivial. If something is substantive, it has substance. If it's trivial, it's minor and lacks substance. So which of these words have a similar relationship to substantive is to trivial? Myopic is to murky, avid is to incendiary, halcyon is to distraught, or primordial is to verdant. The correct answer there is halcyon is to distraught. Halcyon means calm and peaceful. Distraught means to be agitated or emotionally upset. All right, avid is to enthusiasm. Someone who is avid would have a high degree of enthusiasm. Is that the same way as feckless is to willpower? Devious is to guile, banal is to originality, or nefarious is to ruin? Correct answer there is devious would possess a high degree of guile, Guile. Guile means that quality of being deceptive. So someone who is devious is going to be deceptive. They're going to have a high degree of guile. In the same way, someone who's avid would have enthusiasm. All right. Coherent is to consistency. If something is coherent, it has consistency by definition. Is that the same way as germane is to applicability? Piquant is to banality. Viscous is to fluidity. Or halcyon is to turbulence. All right, so coherent is to consistence. Coherent, by definition, has consistency in the same way as germane has applicability. All right, last one. Hair splitter is to carp. All right, so someone who splits hairs is someone who nitpicks at the most minor and minute and inconsequential details. So they might be someone who would carp. All right, carp as in a verb, not as a fish, but carp as in to complain and to nitpick. Is that the same way as a spoil sport is to cavort, a procrastinator is to temporize, a corpse is to exhume, or a model is to emulate? Well, the one that has the most logical relationship that is like hair splitter is to carp is procrastinator is to temporize. Procrastinator is someone who puts off things, and to temporize means to delay making a decision on. So those are the 10 analogies. Why do we want to do analogies, and why do we want to be able to do that? Well, a couple of different reasons. Years from now, when you've finished a bachelor's degree in college and you're looking at a master's degree or you're looking at a professional program, you may take a test called the GRE, the MCAT, the PCAT, the LSAT, those pre-admission tests to get you into graduate school, to get you into medical school, dental school, veterinarian school, pharmacy school. Those all have pre-admission tests, and they're generally divided into two sections, verbal and quantitative. In other words and numbers. And on that verbal section, invariably, there will be synonyms, antonyms, and analogies. So I've had students from years past come back to me and say, doing the analogies on those mastery exams prepared me so well for the GRE, the PCAT, the LSAT, whatever test you end up taking. So being able to work through those and understand how analogies work will be a definite advantage to you, not only for your grade in this class, but as you move forward and pursue whatever degree or professional program you're interested in. So take those seriously. So you have all 100 items. There are no mysteries on this test. I fully anticipate that you're going to make an A on this test tomorrow, and you have everything that you need in order to accomplish that. Remember, the goal here is that we elevate our diction and our writing, that we know the words, and in the process, you get a good grade while you're doing it. All right, so we will have a Google Meet to talk about the essays that you've read this week, to talk about the characteristics of expository essays, and just make sure we've nailed down an understanding of what expository writing truly is. I'm also posting the essay topics for you to consider, and so you can begin that pre-writing process. Remember, good pre-writing takes place in your mind, and then we will begin drafting, and hopefully next week, as we move forward, we will not have a vocabulary unit. We will be working on that formative draft to turn in for feedback from me, and then working on the final draft to submit by the end of the week. And that takes us up through fall break. And so then we'll take a week off and come back in October to begin looking at Essay 3. So if you have any questions, send me an email.